Hi everyone, I haven't done my John Maxwell for quite a while, so I thought I would do it for today, for this evening. And the scripture for today is from Proverbs 1:7. It says, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction." Wisdom can be a leader's best friend, especially in times of decision. So suppose you find yourself in a committee meeting and there's crucial decisions to be made, and the committee reaches an impasse and everything stops. Who will become the most influential person in that room? It's the one with the wisdom to draw the conclusion that not only works, but which receives the blessing of that committee. So now this is not talking about like sugar daddy blessing or like a rich man that goes and says, "Oh, I'll provide for this woman and then she'll be like my sex slave." It's not talking about that. Proverbs 1 describes wisdom as a woman crying out in the streets. And that's a beautiful picture, John Maxwell says. Wisdom does not hide herself, but shouts publicly. We must go out and find her and build a friendship with her. What can we learn about decision-making from Proverbs? The foundation of every decision is to honor and revere God. We must build off our heritage and conscience. What values are we to embrace? We must avoid the counsel of the ungodly. We must pursue wisdom. What are the facts? What are the options? We must move toward inward peace. And then the question John Maxwell asks is, how can you apply these aspects to a pressing matter right now? And so for us in Canada and for my friends who have children in schools in Scotland, in Ireland, it's about also how we use our resources. I signed a petition for Scotland to keep schools open, because what's happening is that people are fighting for money to go to Africa, to go to other places, and as a result, our own countries are suffering. And people are pushing back because they're saying there's no jobs, there's nothing for our children, and what future are we going to leave our children? You can't keep telling people live on less, on austerity, go use food banks. That's taking away people's dignity. It's taking away everything we've worked for, everything we've tried to help others to come up with. And when we do send funding overseas, or when we do help with things in Africa, we don't want to hear the leaders there say, well, we don't care whether they come or not. It's their loss. Because many of us here have given decades of our lives to make sure that people have access to education, to treatable diseases. We've given our voice, we've given our time, and time is money. And we haven't only focused on helping people in Canada. We remember where we've come from and we've reached back to help people there. So when we see that, okay, now our lives are suffering and we're not even getting the support for what we need to live, it doesn't make sense for us to keep saying, yeah, send the money overseas, send the drugs overseas. We need to have enough for ourselves first, and then we can help others. And it's the same with our faith. Today the gospel was about where the vultures are, then where the corpses are, that's where the vultures are going to gather. And that's about our faith. If we're not renewing our faith, if we're not staying close to the Lord, our faith is going to be like a carcass. And the vultures are going to gather and pick off whatever they want. But if we keep our faith strong, if we join with others in community, if we make sure that we're taking care of home first, then we can help others and we can guide others. But if you look at what's happening now in South Africa, people are saying it's good. I've watched 2 news clips today. where people are saying it's good. Because if they don't want to fix the problems there, if they don't want to fix the infrastructure, the gangs, the destruction of the society, and world leaders are pulling out, they're saying it's good because those things have to be fixed first. They have to be addressed first. And it's not just about us, it's also about human rights. Because people gave their lives to fight for those human rights. And now our human rights are being taken away in Canada. And who's speaking up for us? We didn't come here to live in a communist state or a socialist state. We came here to have something of our own. And we look after, whether we are renting or it's somebody else's business, we look after it as if it was our own. When we work for somebody, we look after that business as if it was our business, so that when we do have our own, we'll cherish it the same way. And that's from the Bible. If you don't look after what somebody else's, who's going to give you something of your own? Nobody's going to give you. That's why when we come into countries, first we rent rooms in houses. We rent first before we buy what's ours. And then we lose everything because of other people's corruption and bad decision making and what they're doing. And that's not fair to us. So if we have wisdom, we should be shouting it out in the streets. We should be broadcasting it. We should be telling other people. Because it's not fair to us. It's not fair to us if we're losing everything and others are coming up. And people like Cyril Ramaphosa did work hard, yes. But now there's corruption there. There's crime. Gangs are rising. Without the pressure from this side, Eskom wouldn't come right. They're fixing it now, but it was pressure here from people like me, who cared about our friends and the people who are there. And yet our lives are going down the toilet. So where's that support from them to say we also want our African diaspora who are in Canada and who are in America to have good paid jobs, to be looked after, to be treated fairly? It works both ways, because many of us who fled because of political unrest in those countries. So if we're helping from here, they should care. They should care whether Canada's going to come to the G20 or America or whichever other countries. They should care. Because we're not isolated. You can't trade with yourself only. If somebody doesn't hire you, how are you going to have the money coming in? You look after the interests of your employer when you work for them. And if something's wrong, you try to fix it. You try to help. But the employer is also responsible for looking after you, for making sure your ID is fixed, you have a place to sit, everything's set up, you have proper breaks. If you need an accommodation, they are responsible for making sure that you get it. And they say point of undue hardship. Oh, believe you me, the company is not going to close for them to find another opportunity for you, but they use it here to get rid of people. So sometimes it's internal politics. Sometimes maybe you were going to get a position that they wanted, so they don't want you there. I know, because millions of us go through it here in Canada. So that's what I would like to share from that. And if Cyril Ramaphosa doesn't care about the US coming to the G20 or Canada or all the other leaders, he might as well just have an African conference, because he was given the privilege of leading that G20 and hosting it in South Africa. So it's very disturbing to hear that. And yes, he knows there's problems there, the gang crime, the rolling blackouts. They're trying to fix those rolling blackouts now and invest in nuclear energy and all that. But, I mean, the growing poverty in Canada is also a problem. So God made us to need each other, not to live in isolation and not to build walls. But like they say, if that's what they want, people are going to let them do it. Because there's too many years that have gone with us helping, using our voices, fighting for aid for Africa, fighting for medicines, for treatable diseases. And then what do places like the Global Fund do? They take it and they use it to support sex work, prostitution. But yet, if those same women from there go to Dubai or go to India or come here, there'll be an outcry. If they're saying that, oh, you know what, these people came here and they're using them as prostitutes, if they're white people. But if it's blacks or Indians or coloreds, then it's okay, right? Because we are inferior. There's a growing population of whites that are going into poverty. So we need to be careful of how we treat each other. Nobody wants prostitution. Even if they're saying it, even if those women are saying it, they don't want it. Many of them are afraid. Many of them are afraid of speaking the truth and telling the truth. Who would want a life of prostitution and low wages and menial work and not being able to come up in life and provide for your family or have the basics, the building blocks of life, your own property, your own family, something of your own? Who would want that? They should think carefully about all the struggles, the human rights struggles that we went through in Zimbabwe, in America, in Canada. It's happening here also. There's racism in lending. And why should we accept a lower standard of life than our parents had? Why should we accept austerity? Why should we accept unliving wages? People are pushing back. People are pushing back because the ones at the top earn billions and the ones at the bottom earn nothing. After your taxes and all that, you can't even afford to pay your rent. It's not fair to us. That's not God's justice.